Well, now that the game is nice and saved, time for us to hit the seed and see what they decided we should fight before we can say this planet is done. Again, I really wish I could feel hype for what we're gonna run into in there, but that would require the game to do something to build up to something other than just a general feeling that there is going to be a boss soon. They didn't even bother animating ground for that thing to have landed on. Is this planet just a gas giant and I just didn't remember a lore entry that said that? Because I was under the impression this planet was like Venus and there is a surface under the clouds. It's just not very pleasant for our form of life. Well, things certainly look pretty similar to the previous seed. Nothing particularly ominous to greet us as we first get out of the ship. Okay, so the eye thinks that we're supposed to destroy have an extra little barrier. I guess that counts as something different for this seed. And we've got an indestructible thing that's just swinging back and forth at just the right angle to make our multi-lock shot more tricky. This clip is certainly off to a fine start. Oh, come on, we're hitting the damn thing. Let us through. Please don't tell me I'm gonna spend absolutely all of our ammo on this bony barrier that probably was just meant to be a cute little obstacle to make us use a multi-lock missile a little more often. And we finally burst it through after spending 36 missiles, which is 30 missiles too many. It is a damn good thing we have so many to spare, and that bosses in the 3D games generally don't require you to missile them down the same way the 2D ones did. And I'm certainly thankful that the second one wasn't as troublesome to break through as the first. Nothing to even hit what we're gonna fight in here just yet. Right, so we've got something robotic to deal with. Well, that's certainly an interesting appearance for the thing. Should I be worried that it's named after the Greek sun god? Is it just me, or would that robot design fit better in the, Matrix trilogy? It certainly is making me think of the Sentinels there. Kinda hard to tell if I'm having much of an effect here. I'm seeing yellow flashes. That's probably supposed to be something good, right? Did it just go into hyper mode before we've even done any damage to its health bar? And apparently we can't even hurt it without using hyper mode when it's in a vulnerable state. Why couldn't Gore have had that gimmick? It certainly would have made him a bit more memorable. And great. He's taken advantage of our scanning range to make it just a little more annoying to figure out what this next phase's gimmick is. This is definitely several steps above the Golem from Brio and Gore on this very same planet. How the hell did I manage to forget about this boss? He's bringing quite a few tricks to the table to go along with his unique appearance. Hell, Helios certainly feels like he deserves to be as memorable as Rundus. even if he didn't have any build to this fight. That is certainly quite the achievement in this game. And now we're being forced to use the multi-lock missile. Okay, apparently I took too long to try since now he's got something charging up. Well, at least I managed to get that shot in this time. And we're back to the rolling swarm that we started with. Come on, haven't we done enough to make him vulnerable again? There we go. And of course, he stops being vulnerable after we take down a set of amount of health instead of it being the case for a set amount of time. Because we want this to be a three-phase fight for some reason. As much as I've been enjoying fighting this guy, there's no getting around the fact that most of our damage in this fight is self-inflicted, not something he has done to us. Excuse me for saying that doesn't feel like good boss design to me, even if this has been one of the most fun encounters in the game so far. I wouldn't go so far as to say that the boss designs in Metroid Prime 2 were better. The Boost Guardian, Spider Ball Guardian, and the Ink Emperor certainly felt brokenly bad in my opinion. Still, there's no getting around the fact that Nintendo is generally pretty well known for getting some damn fun boss fights into their games. And considering how many we've had in this game, only 3 have made me go, oh, yeah, that's nice. The free fall fight against Ridley, the clash against Rundus, and now this fight. Everything else so far in this game has felt pretty weak to me, and they don't have the excuse of this being the first time they're doing a 3D Metroid game. They have Metroid Prime 1 and 2 to take inspiration from. Okay, so he's glowing white but hasn't opened up yet. And that does it. Helios has been put down. And that means we're done with Elysia. The final fight on the planet might have been fun, but that doesn't make up for how dull the rest of the planet has been. Anyway, time for Samus to get a little more corrupted in a cutscene. What, she's not gonna puke as things get worse inside of her body? Why show such a visceral reaction the first time and then just get a little shaky the next? Well, time to grab the upgrade here, another hyper mode specific attack that we're barely gonna see much of over the course of the game, because I just don't like using the hyper mode gimmick. Seriously, this is one of the things I hope they don't, include when Metroid Prime 4 finally comes out. Right. Just spawn in the targets we're supposed to shoot at now. If those are supposed to be some kind of defense, it might have been better for the sea to have set those up before we gained the exact tool needed to destroy them. Not after, but maybe that would have just made too much sense. We've just destroyed all 4 corners. Now what? Right, now for the thing that's supposed to be the heart of this seed. It didn't feel like too much of a momentous moment to meet back on Rio, but I suppose the boss fight we just went through makes this one have a bit more weight. It doesn't change the fact that it feels like we haven't done anything other than just mess with the pirates in these 2 planets, whereas in the other games in the Metroid Prime series, we did things to help make the planet we were on a bit more of a livable place. Sure, kicking the ass of the pirates that happened to be on the planet was always the goal in each game. But part of the charm of the other 2 games was that we left the planet in better shape than it was before the pirates arrived. I may not have been a fan of the conflict on Aether where we were there, but at least that conflict existed. And while Zero Mission and Super Metroid could get away with you mostly fighting against the pirates, those are shorter games than the Prime ones. Especially considering how long we're expected to go through with this particular conflict, they should have done better writing. Because, dear God, it just doesn't work for me here. Not too sure what's going on with the sound from the game at the moment. It seems to be a multiple emulator problem for me, and I wish I knew why. The best solution, as far as I can tell, is just to shut down the emulator and get it started again. Something I'll do the instant we save. Sorry about that happening, but hey, at least the game is giving us subtitles, so it's not like we're missing anything. Of course, because we've already established that for some reason Dark Samus is the primary villain of the game, and capable of controlling those that are infected with enough phase-on corruption. Hell, why does the Aurora seem to be surprised by this, considering everything that has happened so far? I thought she was a supercomputer, and it's not like the game has made these things subtle. Ah, well, seems we're gonna get another large-scale battle soon. On one hand, I prefer it when Samus is isolated. On the other hand, dear God, the Federation has been sitting on their collective asses for an obscene amount of time. As much as I don't like Samus being part of a large-scale battle, I don't like the fact that we outright saw the Federation military fighting earlier in the game, and they decided to just leave for no reason for a good chunk of it even more. The pirate homeworld is going to be the major location that we finish things off at. Well, not quite all of it. After this, we're just gonna have to explore the derelict Federation ship, and then go after the very short location where the Phazon seeds have been getting launched from. But yeah, we're getting closer to the end. Well, that's either Coruscant from Star Wars or Char from StarCraft. Huh. Tentacles growing from the ground. I suppose that's disconcerting. We've also got a shield around the place where people live, because even the pirates aren't crazy enough to let Phazon get into the places they're trying to build crap or sleep in. Though why did they need to have seeds on Brio and Elysia if they already had a self-replenishing supply of Phazon on their homeworld? Is that another thing I'm just not supposed to think about? Sure, I get that the attempted drop on Norian was spiteful towards the Federation, but there wasn't really anything to spite on the other 2 worlds. It just doesn't make that much sense to me. Sounds like we've got sound working normally again, so let's see what else we can do before we end this clip. I doubt that the pirate homeworld is going to be all that fleshed out, since it's just going to be treated like a region from the previous 2 games, not an entire actual planet like it is, but I still hope it's got more depth to it than the previous 2 planets we've gone to in this game. Hell, in fact, all of them, even Norian as well. At the very least, I like the aesthetic more than what we were seeing on Elysia, but I suppose that's not much of a bar to jump over. And, of course, the first 2 enemies we run into on this planet decide to go hyper mode on our ass instantly. because we are in the third major location of the main plot, when the game is getting pretty close to getting the conclusion rolling, there's very little chance of any hand-only crap this far in. And if there is, well, I'll do my best to scream without bringing the namers in wondering if I'm getting stabbed. Right. I should probably destroy the turret before I scan anything around here. Okay. New visor needed, along with the spider bone, and I think one other thing based on a barrier we saw back on Elysia a good while ago. Any other upgrades to look forward to on this planet? Okay, we hear an upgrade when we enter the elevator, but I don't think we can actually reach that upgrade just yet. And we've got another upgrade we can notice, but not actually reach just yet. I'm sure by the time we get to the other side of this massive device, it'll end up feeling like a gimme. But it's a bit of an odd thing that we found two currently unreachable upgrades when we only just landed on the planet. So yeah, nothing to do on the second floor. On to the third then. And yet another dead end for us, and look at that. Apparently the rain on this planet is deadly for us. Well, this is certainly one way to railroad the player, that's for sure. Yes, we already know we're on the pirate homeworld. It's a distinct location, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to really get the sense that this is really the homeworld of the space pirates for the entire franchise. It just feels like a very extensive pirate base that they didn't bother trying to hide somehow or another.
Samus, Gandrada's communication capsule has revealed additional information concerning the pirate facility.
I'm sure that information is stuff we learned the hard way.
Directly to the seed. The gate in this room appears to be its main entrance.
Okay, I've got to admit we did not know that before.
Protection from the acid rain.
Is that the location of the shield that will keep us from being hurt by the rain? Or is it where we're supposed to go once we have the shield? Your message didn't really feel all that clear to me. And what are those cables going to lead to? Consoles that we're supposed to activate? Or are we supposed to fire charged shots at them like back on Brio? I honestly feel a bit lost at the moment, and part of me actually appreciates that, considering this game has, for the most part, made things all too obvious what we're supposed to do next and how. I honestly feel like we genuinely need to explore our surroundings right now to figure out where to go next and what to grab, instead of just following a glorified hallway. That is a nice change of pace, considering what we've dealt with so far. Am I supposed to set off the alarm to get things rolling forward? And I hear another upgrade nearby, the third time we've had an upgrade we're incapable of getting to since we landed. On the one hand, this is making it feel like this planet might be a little more condensed than the other two, though maybe that's just a bad first impression. What the hell am I missing here? I feel like there's something obvious around here somewhere, mostly because things have been obvious for the entire rest of the game so far. But my eyes just aren't being drawn to whatever it is we're supposed to see to know that's how we're supposed to move forward. There's literally no other way forward as far as I can tell. Nothing for us to grab at this point. Maybe I should just back off from the game for a bit, give myself a bit of a breather, then try wandering around this area again to see if I could clear my mind and see the way forward. I'm sure when I do find that way, I'm gonna feel like an idiot, but considering this is Metroid, and we've done a lot of exploring and finding some very well-hidden things before in this franchise, it just feels like my brain has essentially shut down the non-essential stuff this far into the game. And since this game has not been exercising my exploration part, now that we actually have to do some exploration 24 clips in, my head is just going, they usually spell things out around here, instead of actually looking at things especially carefully. And since there's been little exploration and little environmental storytelling, at least compared to the previous games we've gone through in this franchise, I'm just sleepwalking through things here. Guess I'm going back to the ship to save after barely doing much of anything. Still, it was worth showing if only because it's been so long since I've felt lost that it feels like something genuinely notable. It's part of the whole Metroid experience, and this game has been lacking that particular aspect. I know I keep saying it, but yeesh, a part of my brain just wants to assume this was a game that was inspired by the Metroid franchise, not an actual major entry in it. It's not a terrible game, it's certainly fun enough to keep me in this far, but it just doesn't feel up to the standards of the previous games in the areas I felt were especially critical to the franchise. Right, so I'm going to end this clip scanning something as I fall into the abyss. As if I didn't already feel like enough of an idiot as we end this clip. Ah well, we're still making progress. The end is coming ever closer.